All right, first thing I'm gonna just kind of show you here, we're down in the basement of my place, and this is the furnace. Okay, we got a few things on the furnace. Some houses have these. When I moved in, it had one of these things on it. And what this is this is actually a humidifier, which is oftentimes used in the winter. It has a little thing on here you need to flip to winter and summer. When you flip it on winter, some of the air goes through this little unit right here, and then it injects that air back up into the furnace as it goes around there. See if I can take this cover off here. You can see on the inside, this is something that sometimes needs to be replaced. This isn't the furnace filter, this is a water filter, but all that happens here in the humidifier is water comes up in here and it trickles down into this, and air blows through this, and it sucks it back up into here, so it puts moisture into the air. Usually this needs to be replaced every season, but if you see one of these in your house, it's all it is. Basically, it's an automatic, it's on a timer, so that when the furnace turns on, it sends water through that thing and it humidifies your house. Okay, now furnace filter, that's what we set out to do here. Usually on some of the older furnaces, well, older setups, non-traditional setups, I'd say, is what I have. A lot of the newer furnaces use furnace filters, and here's one of them, that are big. Mine is not. This is a kind of a standard air filter. It's just thin and it's meant to just slide in. So you might find different types of filters, but this is a pretty common type. And the way it works is I have a piece of cloth in there, because see all these gaps? I tried to kind of seal them up, and yeah, I could use some tape. I just shoved some cloth in there, and that seemed to help. But this is the furnace filter, which I have not changed in a while. I know, bad. You should really change this every few months. And here's why. That's dirty. Okay? Clean, dirty. That's terribly dirty. And it's bad because as this gets plugged up, it makes it harder for the air to move through the furnace. So the furnace is working harder and you're using more electricity. Okay? So we should replace that with a filter. You do need to know your size. This says 16 by 25 by 1. Okay. The one we took out is a 16 by 25 by 1. Okay. So you'll need to know that before you go to the store, what your size is. And then you can get yourself a new filter. And what you do need to pay attention to is the direction that the air flows through the furnace. Now, usually, and I'm looking here because I don't see it, it tells you which way that the air flows. So you may need to check to feel which way that the air is moving in your furnace. Okay, and if it were to be on, you can if you put your hand just straight in there, don't curve your fingers or anything, but just straight in there, you can usually feel. But a lot of times it shows the direction that the air is flowing. Now, if I look on mine, it says the airflow is this way. So the air is actually coming down from here and going in that way. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I line that arrow up there so that it is pointed as the same direction as it says. And so that's what the installer wrote on there. Okay. He wrote the size, wrote the direction that I should be paying attention to. And then the way I did it is I just kind of sealed this off. And the reason is that way it's not sucking air from down here in the basement. It's just sucking the air that's coming in from the ductwork. So this is the air that's coming in. It's from the air returns that are in your house. So the vents that aren't blowing air, but they're the vents that are sucking the air. They're usually, rectangular, and they're on the walls. Okay? And I'm just kind of pushing this in here just to kind of block off the airflow from the basement, just to seal that up. So, yeah, I could use some tape again, but I did not. All right, that leads me to duct sealing. So I mentioned last time, one thing that you can do to save energy is to seal your ductwork. So if you use a metallic, duct tape like this, you can seal on seams. So I've done that in my house. Basically where I have seams, I put tape. I just noticed right here, I didn't tape this seam. So I do have a gap right here. So it's likely that air could be coming out of this little gap. And all those little gaps do add up. So it really does pay to go and seal those off. Now on some of these I used tape, but I did end up switching and I started using that latex stuff. So you can see here I tape, and I did that all of the areas that I had access to easily. Okay, so the entire length of these returns, anything that I could see, I covered it with tape, or in this case, latex. This is the better stuff to use because it really gets in there, it seals, it dries to the touch, and it just does a better job of sealing than the tape. The tape's, I suppose at some point during its life it could come loose a little bit. This just seals better and just doesn't allow for any air to escape. It's also important to get up. So like right in here, this one connects, this duct connects into here. So if you can look up and in there, I'm going to try to put my camera there. It's important to also try to get that stuff, the sealant, inside of all the cracks there. That way you're not heating and cooling the basement, because that's what's happening when you have all those cracks. And that's actually what prompted me to do this, is when I had the air conditioning on in the summertime, it would be super cold down here, but upstairs was not. Once I sealed all the ductworks in my house, everything that I could at least see, what I found is I increased the air pressure a lot. So I was getting the rooms that were upstairs, and those were really getting cooler a lot quicker, and they're heating more consistently. So ductwork sealing, replacing the furnace filter, and the humidifier if you have one. Those are all things that you can easily fix or do yourself. Replacing the filter here, replacing a furnace filter, and sealing ductworks. And that's it.